So I've been in a relationship for almost 7 years now, and I've made every single mistake under the sun. I didn't have any friends that were in long-term relationships. All of them were and kind of still are single.
Not looking.
They look great. So I kind of had to rely on myself and I guess the internet to help me figure things out. And that was the way I did things for a couple of years until I found this book called The Way of the Superior Man. I know the title sounds a bit cringe, but hear me out. I've read this book about 4 times now, and every time I read it, I realize that it doesn't just change me in my relationship, but it also changes me and improves me in life in general. I am going to share my top 3 lessons that I've learned and try to give you some actionable advice. Lesson number 1. Your purpose is the single most important thing in life. What does purpose even mean? I feel like people on the internet just over-explain it and it's just become a complex word now, but I think I have a pretty good understanding of it. I think purpose is just your goal for the next 3 to 6 months. And obviously there's some nuance to this, but you wake up in the morning and you know what goal you're working towards and what you have to do for the day. So why is a purpose so important? Well, I think David Deida says it best. I'm just going to read from the book. Without a conscious life purpose, a man is totally lost, drifting, adapting to events rather than creating events. To explain this with an analogy, I think it's a difference between somebody driving a car versus somebody being in the back seat. People can tell from a mile away if you are the backseat passenger or the driver in your own life. But there is some nuance to this. It's not just working on something for the next 3 to 6 months. You also want to make sure that you're working on something that you actually want to work on. And an example I have is between a finance bro and a barista. So the finance bro, he's working 9 to 5 and he's making a lot of money. He's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And from the outside, it looks like he's doing pretty well. Compare that with a barista who's making nowhere near that, but the finance bro is just doing this to earn money. He doesn't really care about the job. He's just doing it so that he can earn a living. Whereas the barista is actually an aspiring musician and he's spending his time outside of the cafe writing songs and trying to get a record label to produce his music. So you can see the difference here isn't just about money. It's about what is the dream that you want and actually putting time and energy into it. Although the finance bro is making a lot of money, he's not actually purpose driven. He's just kind of going through the motions even though he's making money. It's not about the exterior things that you have. It's about where it comes from internally. So here's some actionable advice to find your purpose. The first is to just list down every single dream that you have. If you wanted to hike a mountain, put that on. If you want to start a business, put that on. And once you have a decent list of maybe about 5 to 10 things, pick one of those things. Pick the thing that either scares you the most or excites you the most. And what you're going to do is you're going to make a goal based on that for the next 3 months. And you're just going to progress on it. So let's say my dream was to start a business. I would probably make 100 YouTube videos, kind of like what I'm doing now. And I would just spend every single day doing that. It's not the only thing that you should be doing in a day, but you have to do it every single day, regardless of what's going on in your life. Lesson 2 is to be present. Now, what does being present mean? I always used to think that being present was just sitting on a cushion, closing my eyes and meditating and focusing on my breath. And I think in a lot of ways that is being present, but not in the way that I'm saying. I'm saying take that idea of sitting down on the cushion and meditating into every single part of your day, whether you're with friends, whether you're in your relationship, whether you're at work, and especially when you're hurting. And it's in these moments, these moments where maybe somebody's shouting at you or you're feeling uncomfortable, be present. Like when I take a cold shower, I have 2 options. I can either, wince and hate the fact that I'm taking a cold shower, or I can really lean into it and feel the coldness and feel the pain. One of them energizes me and one of them makes me escape myself. And the more you can energize yourself, the more you can focus on the pain and in the moment, the more powerful you become. So why is being present important? Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody who's just given you their undivided attention? They're staring at you, they're staring down at you, not in a creepy way, but they're kind of like looking into your soul and hearing every single word that you're saying. when somebody gives you their full attention in a conversation and really listens to you and doesn't think about anything else or doesn't look anywhere else, you can feel that. You can feel that this person really cares and that they're present with you. And this is something you can do when you're talking to people, especially because everybody's in their own head. But if we can bring somebody out of that, bring somebody out of their head, out of their negative way of thinking for even a couple of minutes and bring them into the present moment, that's a really powerful thing to do. And people will remember you for that. All right, so how can we actually be present in the real world? What actionable steps can we take? The best way to go about this is through your breath. So your breath carries energy. If you stop breathing, you would die. So what we want to do is we want to really slow down our breathing, and we want to breathe deeply. And if we do that, if we have a breath that's so slow and so deep, then we're really going to affect people in the right way. If we can breathe, especially when we're talking to somebody, then we can really bring them out of their own head and into the moment. I think out of all the lessons, I think this is my favorite one. When I start to breathe deeper, especially when I'm with people, I just find that I'm more calm and they're more calm. And I find that we have better conversations, there's more laughter, there's just more positive energy. So this lesson out of all these three, I think is the most important and the most actionable. All right, lesson 3. For everything that you do in life, give your 100% effort. So this lesson originally comes from my grandfather for me. I remember, I think I was like maybe 10 years old, and he asked me to do some chores. I think he asked me to sweep up some leaves. And I kind of did a half-assed job. I like swept up a little bit of leaves, left a little bit on the floor. I was like, okay, Grandpa, I'm done. Can I go now? And he looked at me and he was like, Zach, what the hell is this? This is a half-assed job. And I was like, Grandpa, like, it's not a big deal. I'm just sweeping leaves. Like, you could just get somebody else to do it, or like pay a cleaner to do it. And I remember him getting really mad at me, and he turned to me and he said, Zach, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you half-ass the leaves, you're gonna half-ass everything else in life. And obviously in the moment I was kind of upset because I didn't want to sweep. But looking back now, I think that this lesson, this idea is so true. Because if we half-ass the small things, the things that are low effort and inconsequential, then it's going to be so much easier to half-ass the things that are actually important in life, that actually require energy and focus and character and willpower. So why is this lesson so important? And I think it's, again, because people can feel your energy. If you're half-assing something, and if you're, let's say, less than ideal in a certain scenario, people are gonna respect you less and trust you less. In my old job, sometimes I would put in like 60% effort into, like cold calling, and I would tell my manager like, oh, nobody's answering my calls. And I think she could tell that I wasn't actually putting in 100%. So that just made her trust me less and have less expectations for me. And I don't want that. I want people to be able to trust me and be able to lean on me, even when times are tough. So this lesson is probably the hardest one that I'm still trying to work on, but it's one that is super duper important. All right, so what's the actionable step for this? The actionable step is pick one thing that you really hate doing. It doesn't matter what it is. For me, it's laundry. I really hate folding the clothes. I would pay somebody to do it if I could. But whenever I have to do it, which is not often because my girlfriend does it, but when I have to do it, I take a deep breath and I say, okay, let's do this with 100% effort. And as I start to fold the clothes and as I start to do it, I feel like something happens within me. I feel like I hate the thing less and I'm just focused on doing a good job. What ends up happening is after I do the laundry, I actually feel peaceful and I don't feel as aggravated. I think this trains the muscle in your brain doing hard things. If you do the thing that you hate the most with 100% effort, there isn't much else that can kind of derail you from making progress. And again, at the end of the day, people can feel this energy. They can feel when you're half-assing something or when you're putting in your effort. It doesn't really matter what the outcome even is. If I put in 100% of my effort and the clothes are folded like kind of haphazardly, but I have put in my effort, that's all that matters. Sometimes my girlfriend's clothes are like it's kind of like folding origami, but if I just put in 100% of my effort and I try my best on folding it, she can feel that. I don't even need to tell her that I've put in 100% effort, because she'll look at the clothes and she'll be like, wow, thanks so much for folding the clothes. Like, I can see that you put in effort. I didn't say anything. I didn't say that I put in effort, but she can see it with the clothes. So if it can show up in something as simple and inconsequential as clothing, then it'll definitely show up in other aspects of your life. So those are my 3 top lessons from the book. I still recommend reading the book in its entirety because, you know, you'll have your own takeaways from it. But those 3 lessons are ones that I keep coming back to and that keep improving my life. And I know everything in this video sounds straightforward and really easy to do. Like, yeah, just breathe more, breathe deeply. There's a big difference between knowing something and actually implementing it in your life and having change in your life. So if you feel like you're not living up to your potential, or you feel like you could be doing more in your relationship or more in your life, please book in a time with me. There's a pinned comment and a description link below. Just book in a time. I'm just starting out these coaching calls, so I want to be as accessible to my first subscribers as possible. So please book in if you feel like you want to, because, you know, these prices are going to go up. I don't know when they are, but they are going to go up. But for right now, I'm just keeping the barrier as low as possible, just because I want to work with people that actually want to make change. So if you want to make change and you want help, please book in a link, and we'll speak soon.